One of the recurring themes I've heard over the last year when I talk to business owners is that sales are going up, but profits are going down. And the biggest culprits seem to be labor costs and material costs. And so when we scale up and we get busier, what happens is our systems don't work as well and we lose a lot of our efficiency, and therefore productivity goes down and costs go up, and we get busier and busier and we make less and less. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 key strategies for regaining your productivity and efficiency and getting the profits back where they need to be, your margin, your gross margins in particular, back where they need to be. So if we don't get a handle on this, 3 things are going to happen, and a couple of these might already be happening to you. First, you as the owner, you're going to become a slave to the business again. You're going to be working longer hours. You're going to be working nights and weekends in an effort to rein in labor costs, so that you don't have to pay overtime and you can eke out at least some profit on the increased work. When that happens, then you get cranky, and then the culture at the business suffers. And when the culture starts to fall apart, the best people leave first, not the worst people, which again, that's hard to recover from. And then the third thing that happens as you as the owner, you just get tired, you get burnt out, and you start reducing and you go back to the way it used to be, lower sales. And you know what? The profits never come back when you do that. So, all right, let's go. So key number 1 is to have individual metrics. Every employee needs to have their daily and weekly metrics for what they're supposed to do, whether it's KPIs, key performance indicators, or KAIs, key activity indicators. The activity indicators are you need to do this many of these, like you need to make 10 phone calls, or you need to knock on 20 doors. And that's activities. And KPIs are the performance indicators, things they need to achieve. So when we think about production, what's the daily output that you expect from the team? And then how does that break down to each individual? So the team, we need to get 20 of these done a day. So each individual, you need to do 5 a day, or however that works. But every person on your team needs to have their individual metrics on a daily basis. Then the team needs to have their daily metrics that they hit. And then the team's daily metrics should roll up into the department, but we need to know and plan our activity and our output on a daily basis. So key number 2 is having daily lists and plans. So every employee should know here's your list, here's your plan for the day, every day. Now, some, out on the production floor, it might be very routine. You do the same thing every day, but they need to know what the expectations are every day. And then at the end of the day, they report, here's how I did against my plan for the day, and here's my plan for tomorrow. And they do that every day. And your managers expect that, and you teach them how to do it and set the expectation. And those lists become plans, right? So then the third key now is weekly lists and plans, and then what we call a lion meeting, a weekly check-in. So we need to know what the weekly priorities are. What are the priorities for this week? Every employee should know what their priorities are and how those priorities fit into the team's priority, into the department's priority, so that they can participate and they can increase their productivity and they can see their results. It helps make fewer decisions, and it helps you rethink, and you know what's working and what's not when you're doing this. So then the weekly Lions meeting is you have that towards the end of the week, typically Thursday afternoons. It's just a short 10, 15-minute meeting with most employees. What are your results against your plan for this past week? The L stands for last week. Tell me what your results were versus your plan. The I, issues. Tell me what issues that came up that you resolved and worked through that I need to know about, or that we need to institutionalize the system, or we need a new system to make sure it doesn't happen again. O, what opportunities did you discover for doing things better, for new ideas, new improvements? And what are we going to do with those opportunities? Let's prioritize who's going to do something with those opportunities. And then the N is next week. What is your plan? What are your goals for next week? We have that meeting every Thursday afternoon. It's a 10, 15-minute meeting. It's really short. Now, when we look at these daily lists and weekly lists and the Lion meeting, what I hear a lot is, well, my team doesn't like it when I micromanage them, and I really don't like micromanaging. Well, that's okay. What you're micromanaging is not people. You're micromanaging the activity, you're micromanaging the decisions and the priorities, and you're really micro planning. That's the only way to get back to regular productivities. Everybody needs to know what's expected of them every day, every week. And when we get really good at that, it no longer feels like micromanaging. Now we're just managing success. Because remember, management is all about creating productive, competent people. If we want to get our profits back up, we need productive, competent people. So as we get better at planning and prioritizing, we do that in a sequence. So the first thing we need to get really good at, and that's why it's key number 2, we need to get good at planning today, right? Once we prove that we can plan and execute today really well, then we add on top of that planning tomorrow. So I want to be able to plan today and plan tomorrow. When we get really good at being able to plan 2 days at a time, then we go to planning a week at a time, right? And that's a big step. I got to tell you, it sounds easy, but it's a big step going from being able to plan today and tomorrow to plan the whole week effectively and productively. But when we do that, then we get results. Then we take the big step. Once we've mastered planning this week and executing this week, then we go to the next level, which is plan this week and plan next week. If you can get great at planning 2 weeks at a time with your team, everybody knows what's expected of them, and everybody works together to accommodate that, then you'll start integrating in the changes that this new level of sales has put in your system, because chances are your systems might not completely support the output that's required with the increased sales. And by knowing our daily metrics and every person's output required, they will then feed back to you through this process. Hey, something needs to change. I need something different. I need help. I need training. We need to do this differently because the way we're doing it will never work. And that way you get the whole team engaged in it, and it's a team solution. So if you're ready to stop working those crazy hours and stop feeling like your business owns you instead of you owning the business, and you're tired of losing good people who are getting burnt out just like you, but they have more options for leaving than you do, and you don't want to go back to the way it was, you really want to grow your company, increase the sales, but also get the increased profitability and increased enjoyment out of it, click the link in the description. And what we'll do is we'll schedule a 20-minute call where you and I will sit down and talk about what the challenges are for you right now in your gross profit and brainstorm some ideas for you that you can start implementing right away.